Hey, what's up, everyone? And welcome back to the latest edition of Miami Total Football. It was another rough night for Inter Miami on Saturday night in a season full of them. We sound like a broken record here on Miami Total Football, but Inter Miami lost again, suffered a 2-1 defeat to the Montreal Impact at Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey. The decisive goal came in the 80th minute off of Maximiliano Arudi finish from in close. And Inter Miami struggled throughout the course of this one. They were down after just 6 minutes. Bojan with a shot from distance that took a bounce and beat John McCarthy in goal. John McCarthy probably should have done better on that play. Inter Miami eventually pulls one back through Breck Shea, who scores his 4th goal of the season in the 33rd minute. He received a pass from Leandro Gonzalez Pires, a good pass from Leandro Gonzalez Pires, and hit a shot from outside the area that took a deflection before going into the back of the net for the equalizer and the 1-1. Breck Shea's goal was a needed lifeline in a first half that was very poor from Inter Miami on both sides. The defense gave up quite a few looks and looked disorganized and just a little bit all over the place. Nicolas Figal had a tough time with Bojan, and Leandro Gonzalez Pires mishit some passes. It was just overall not the type of defensive performance that you're used to seeing from Inter Miami. And truth be told, they were probably a bit lucky to get out of that first half just having given up 1 goal. But they were on even terms at the break, and they came out in the second half and still struggled a bit. They cleaned up some things defensively, although they still gave up some chances. But they were a little more organized in the second half, and they improved in the 70th minute once they started attacking down the right side a little more. Lewis Morgan and Dylan Nealis were good in that regard. Morgan was very good in that regard, probably the one player that you could look at in this match and say he had a real positive performance. Just their ability to get down the wing and whip in crosses to try to make things happen for Inter Miami. And Morgan did it on the dribble as he has all season. It was a good performance for him, but again, there was no end product. Inter Miami had some chances, had some looks. Morgan had a shot. Gonzalo Higuain had a shot that hit the post. So there were some good moments for Inter Miami about after the 70th minute mark, but it wasn't to be. Gonzalo Higuain has a shot inside the box, and in the 80th minute, it gets saved, and then seconds later, Montreal Impact hit back and get their game winner. So in the 80th minute, you went from seeing Gonzalo Higuain with an opportunity at one end, and then the Montreal Impact scoring the decisive goal a few seconds later at the other end. Now for Inter Miami, it's a big opportunity missed. They had a chance to jump into the playoff picture and move above the red line for the first time this year, but weren't able to do that against a Montreal Impact side that's also vying for one of those final spots in the playoffs. So the good news for Inter Miami is that they have 4 games left and they're only 2 points back as of now. Obviously, there's still games to be played, a lot of games to be played on Sunday, so we'll see how things shape out for Inter Miami in that regard. But they should still be within striking distance, or at least close enough to it where it's realistic or feasible for them to make a run during these final 4 games and try to get into the playoffs. Making matters worse than the frustrating and disappointing defeat on Saturday night was that Gonzalo Higuain was sent off after the match. He was given a red card, as sources told me. He was sent off for arguing with the referee after the final whistle, and he will miss the upcoming match against Orlando City in the Sunshine Clásico, El Clásico del Sol. You have to expect that Inter Miami will likely try to appeal that red card, but we won't know the outcome of that until later on this week. But it's more than likely that Higuain will be out for that next game. I think it's going to be tough to see him getting that red card appealed successfully and that call being overturned. Now, if we go back to the game and we just talk about what went wrong for Inter Miami, fingers can and will be pointed at the defense for the issues it had, especially on the game-winning goal. But for me, it's the attack that leaves a lot to be desired. Now, you have Gonzalo Higuain on the roster, this type of center forward that's known for his goal scoring. It has done so in Europe at the highest levels with Argentina's national team, and he's played 6 games with Inter Miami, and he only has 1 goal, and it came off of a free kick. So he's not getting that many clear-cut opportunities, and the team's not getting that many clear-cut opportunities. They finished with 4 shots on target against the Montreal Impact, and it's just not enough. That's just not enough, especially given they're finishing that, they haven't been able to finish that well even with the chances that they do get on goal. So for me, the attack leaves something to be desired. That's something that the team talked about after the match.
I think it's just we're missing that last final pass. We're creating opportunities. We're getting into the last third. It's not that we're not getting shots. We're also getting shots, but I think sometimes that last pass, just we're missing that last final pass, and then the confidence to make it, just so that we can start scoring more goals. Unfortunately, tonight we weren't good enough, and we needed to create more opportunities, and that's kind of how our season has been. We're just lacking sometimes that last pass. The ball hasn't really bounced our way.
It's clear watching Inter Miami this season, and Diego Alonso confirmed it last night. He likes width in his attacks. He likes players to get down the wings and cross the ball in towards the middle to try to create opportunities. He said last night after the game that he sees that that's the only way, or that's the way to open up defenses and the spaces in the middle, is by winning battles on the outside and pulling defenders to those spots. I don't necessarily fully agree with that being the only way or the way to do that. I think there's other ways that you can attack, and having a variety can help you. But to me, this just is another example, and we've talked about it before here on Miami Total Football, about the personnel not matching the game plan or the coach's style, and the coach's style not matching the personnel. Because if you look at this game, and again, thought Lewis Morgan and Dylan Nealis did a good job down that right wing, but that's where the majority of the play came, and that's where the majority of the play has come this season for Inter Miami, the good play. Because on the left side, you don't get that. You don't get that consistency. You don't get those crosses. You don't get that one-on-one that often, and you saw it last night. That gives Inter Miami only one half of the field to play on. The other half, they're not going to get much, not going to generate much from the run of play. Yes, Brek Shea scored, but that was his lone contribution, one of the very few positive contributions he had on the night. So that's definitely something that is going to be a challenge for Inter Miami. If they're going to insist on keeping to play down the wings, and they're not getting much from the left side because they don't have a left-sided winger like they have on the right with Lewis Morgan and his ability to attack, then it's going to really hinder them, and it's going to continue to give them struggles unless they can start putting the ball in the back of the net with the chances that they do get, which so far they haven't been able to. Another thing to talk about after this one is the game plan. Now, Inter Miami came out in the 4-3-3 look, and Brek Shea was the left-sided winger in that formation. But after the slow start, after giving up the early goal, Inter Miami, about the 15-minute mark, switched into a 5-man backline with Brek Shea then dropping as a wing back, and Dylan Nealis now moving over to the right on the right side to serve as a right wing back, and Ben Sweat, who was playing left back, came in as the third center back. So if you're changing your game plan 15 minutes into the match, it's obviously you've seen something that you don't like, but that also raises questions as to if the initial game plan was the appropriate one, if that was the correct one against an Impact team that has issues defensively. They haven't been consistent as well this season, but that's definitely something to look at. Though seeing Lewis Morgan play as a secondary striker, a shadow striker, after the tactical change to try to get more out of the attack, I thought that was an interesting look. He occupied more central spots as opposed to just playing predominantly down the right wing, though he returned there for much of the second half. An interesting tactical look, and maybe one that Inter Miami repeats at some point, but again, that just changing things up so early leaves something to be desired, and it raises some questions. But that about does it for now. Make sure you stay tuned into Miami Total Football for more news, analysis, and coverage of Inter Miami during this final stretch of games, these final 4 matches, to see if the team can make it into the playoffs. As always, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Franco Panizo, and we'll see you next time.